icon to tell us that the recording has started. Okay, computer, let's get it done. Okay, so we're going to be back to the PowerPoint. And to repeat here, skeletal muscle has a very short action potential because skeletal muscle often has to contract very rapidly and at a high frequency. The heart, on the other hand, if it contracts too rapidly, it's fibrillation, and that's going to mean it can't work because the heart has to pump, contract, and relax. The conduction system of the heart is a special nervous system that automatically depolarizes about 60, 70 times for the heartbeat, 60, 70 times for the heart rate. And we got somebody coming in. Okay, so we're back to the PowerPoint. So this specialized conduction system carries an electrical impulse and action potential from top to bottom of the heart. So the SA node starts the automatic depolarization, meaning that the conduction system of the heart automatically generates action potentials according to the heart rate. Okay, so from atria to ventricle, you have contraction. Make sure you read through this diagram. It'll tell you, just as I said, that the heart rate travels from the atria, they contract, then it travels to the ventricles and they contract. So the heart has to have a step-by-step contraction based upon the long refractory period so that it can pump. If it goes into fibrillation, meaning it's trying to contract very quickly, it's not going to have time for the chambers to fill and for the chambers to allow the blood to be pumped to the lungs and to the body. An electrocardiogram is a very useful technique for putting electrodes on the outside of the body. And you should know what the P wave is, the QRS wave, and the T wave. So the impulse, this is atrial contraction following atrial depolarization. So the heart muscle and nerves and skeletal muscle all allow ions to move in and out of the organ so that there's a change in voltage, and that leads to muscle contraction. So make sure you know the parts of the EKG, P wave, ventricles contract after the QRS wave, and you have ventricular contraction and relaxation. Okay, so the T waves, the ventricle returns to the relaxed state that allows the atria to fill and the atria to contract, and then the ventricles to contract. So you have to have a step-by-step movement of blood through the heart and a controlled contraction cycle so that the heart has to pump and then relax. Go ahead and read through this cardiac cycle. This basically says that the atria fill, then it's pumped into the ventricles, then it's pumped out to during ventricular systole. Remember, systole means contraction and diastole means relaxation. So the point I've made over and over again, and I will continue to make, the heart has to fill from top to bottom. The atria had to contract first, then the ventricles receive that blood, then the ventricles contract next, and the process starts over again. But there has to be a relaxation for the atria to fill, and then for the atria to contract, and then once the ventricles receive their blood, you have contraction of the ventricles. So it's a step-by-step process with contraction and then relaxation. In relaxation, the chambers of the heart can fill with blood, starting with the atria. The heart is naturally rhythmic. It, based upon the conduction system of the heart, it beats all the time to establish heart rate. But the sympathetic and parasympathetic system can accelerate the heart, and this is a very strong impulse. The parasympathetic slows the heart, so we have rest and digest, we have fight or flight. So the heart is naturally beating based upon the conduction system, and I said that conduction system automatically changes its electrical charge, and when that happens, you start the contraction of muscle following the action potential, following the change in charge on inside and outside the conduction system. And that change in electrical charge leads to the contraction of the heart muscle. Okay, so the sympathetic system will accelerate the heart. The parasympathetic system will slow down the heart. The sympathetic is much more robust and it causes significant acceleration. So when you're running from a danger or you get really, really excited and you have to remove yourself from a bad, dangerous situation, the sympathetic system, with input from the cardio acceleratory system, causes the heart to beat faster and more strongly. The inhibitory center will slow down the heart when you're resting and digesting. Okay, that takes care of that one. Let's stop the recording now. Stop recording.